Hey, before we get started, I just want to mention a couple of things. Firstly, this was a stretch goal reward for our work on the St. Jude Children's Hospital charity event that we did with the Besties. Links to everyone down there and the campaign we did will be in the description below. Secondly, this is a lot of our first times playing D&D in a recorded session like this or a live session like this, so it's not going to be the greatest. However, I still feel like everyone involved did an amazing job, so please give everyone who has a link down below some love. Lastly, I did want to mention that there was some recording issues, and rather than restart the entire session from the point that we found out that it was happening, I just decided to go over and fix it in post. So part of it, I think it's from like 30 something to like 50 something, is going to be a little bit weird because my voice isn't going to really match up with my mouth and all that kind of stuff, but just know that I did my very best to re-record it in the most honest and earnest way I possibly could. Everyone else's voice is fine, it's the way it is, but my voice is the one that messed up because I just ran out of space on Audacity and just stopped recording and didn't tell me. It's something that's happened before, but I didn't really think to check it until I checked it. So just want to let you guys know about all that. I hope you all enjoy. Lightning flashes, illuminating the library, but for a moment, giving us a small glimpse into the full shelves of hardcover books. The elaborate, multicolored, complexly organized set of texts and tomes lining every inch of the floor to ceiling racks of shelves. Eventually, the light cracks. The elegant shoes on hardwood begin to ring out, as candlelight begins to pour from the bottom of the front doorway. Soon revealing a slender man, clearly older, dressed in a fine vest, slacks of muted grays and black. The pointed ears clearly hint at some kind of elven lineage, yet the pale skin turning a purple end catches attention. But only for a moment, as he stands up properly and nods. Good. Seems you've all made yourself at home. Sorry about the state of the place. I don't get too many guests around here, he says, before taking himself and the lantern he was holding over to a lovely, dark wood desk in the middle of the room, setting it down on top as he opens one of the drawers and begins fishing around. So, you've all come for a story, yes? Well, I've got one that I believe will interest you, at the very least, he says, producing this thin, black book, bound in some kind of rough cloth or burlap-type fabric, with the title The Masquerade imprinted on the side in muted silver lettering. A story of intrigue, dancing, laughter, deception, fear, and maybe even death. However, the story itself is only partially written, and the choices you make will complete it. So, if you all find yourselves up for the task of guiding yourselves through the night and into the morning, let's not waste any time, shall we? Flips open the book, clears his throat, and begins reading. Rain pours on the roof of your carriage on this cold spring night on the continent of Still. Thunder gently roars in the distance, and occasionally lightning flashes, being one of the only sources to illuminate the cobblestone path ahead, aside from the small hooded lantern attached to the bottom of the driver's footrest. While outside is frigid, the cold, piercing rain almost freezing the ground as it falls, inside it's warm and comfortable. And inside is our cast of characters. Manic, would you like to describe your character, please?
Yeah. His name is Miko. He is a male tiefling with deep, dark red coloring. His eyes are all black. Soft curls, dark hair, a little longer in the back, horns that protrude up and twist away from his face. He is a sorcerer. He wears a mesh top and softer flowing pants. And is of average build, not very tall.
Alright.
Oh, and a scar around his eye.
Sitting next to Miko, Tessa, would you like to describe your character?
Is a tiefling with whitish purple skin, and her horns wrap around her ear towards her face. She's got dark purple hair. She is a warlock. Legit.
All right. Sitting across from those two, Twin, would you like to describe your character?
I don't know. Yeah, I will.
I was about to say, you better.
So they are a changeling, changeling rogue, and they have, through nefarious ways and means, worked their way up the noble ladder and have become a noble, but kind of taking on the persona of somebody who used to be a noble, so they spend a lot of time as a human male looking. They're very broad shoulders, kind of like a typical, like, powerful looking human. They're about 6 foot in that one, but they prefer to be more of a feminine half elf, who's about 5'8", I think. If I remember right, that's what I said. Yeah, 5'8" now. Whatever I said before, it's now 5'8". But that's when they're kind of on their own. That's just what they typically appear to be.
All right. And last, but certainly not least, sitting next to them, Brian, would you please like to describe your character?
The figure sitting inside the carriage wears very fine clothes bearing the colors of blue and gold. They wear a cape around their very nice, fancy clothes. They have sharp features and a lean frame, resting his hand on a rapier at his side. Very ornate and mostly for decoration. You can see that through shorter mix of blonde-brown hair has these glaring brown eyes that are fixed through the window outside the carriage.
All right. The carriage kind of rocks back and forth as it journeys across the bumpy cobblestone path. Now, of course, you are no ordinary guests here, despite what your forged invitations may lead the staff or other invitees to believe. You're all sent here for a special purpose: to get filthy rich. A certain someone has reached out to your little group of rogues, thieves, sleight-of-hand experts, whatever you want to call yourselves, because he wanted to rob one man in particular blind. And tonight, while all of his attention would be on his ego, his appearance, his guests, you all would have the chance to find his vault and steal a couple of items in particular for him. Firstly, there's a small black crate, no bigger than 28 inches long by about 8 inches wide. He never told you what was in it, but he did mention it was very near and dear to his family, and he wanted it back. Secondly, there's a book. A very particular book that, again, he didn't give very many details on, but he said that you would know it when you saw it. Everything else in the vault, he said, was fair game, except for those 2 items. And maybe, if you're feeling just a bit adventurous, anything you could pickpocket or charm out of any of the guests as well. However, there are 2 ground rules. Keep things as silent and as low down as you could. You weren't looking to incite some mass panic among diplomats, nobles, and tycoons. And the other main rule was to keep the killing of any guests down to a minimum. The staff, only if you could hide the bodies. But the death of some kind of notable dignitary would raise much of an alarm. Everything else, once again, fair game. So, you all have a bit before you get to the gates. Would you all be having a discussion, or would the carriage ride just be silent and awkward?
Are we all arriving at this carriage as a group or as separate individuals?
You're all in the same carriage. Kind of like, it'd be Miko and Winnie across from Cerilyn and Youth Espen.
I guess my
Okay.
question would be, are we operating as a group or as individuals?
Like, did we know each other before?
You would have met before. You would have definitely have met when your employer would have told you what the entire plan was. But it's very much so freeform. You can all be a group. You can all split up, look for clues, whatever you decide on doing.
Who was our employer?
You didn't really get a name. You had to go through a specific Armic who is like a fixer or like someone who gets you contracts. But the person who had contracted you preferred to remain nameless.
Understood.
And how are we getting our things into the place? Are we going in there unarmed? Are they checking us at the gate? Like, what is our plan here?
You can assume, and you have been told, that they're most likely going to check any kind of weapons at the gate, or at least at the front doors. But if you could sneak something in, or you feel very confident in your ability to kind of hide things on your person, you're more than welcome to. None of you really brought any kind of like portable holes or bags of holding or any kind of pocket dimensions that would be able to store things. So it's really just kind of whatever you can like get on your person through the door.
So, why are all of you decided to take on this task, if I may be so bold as to ask?
The pay seemed good.
I just like having fun.
To be quite frank, I just wanted to earn some pay, and flirting goes a long way, does it not? Maybe meet a noble or two.
Charming.
And
The
Well, what
pleasure's
about
all
you?
mine.
To be frank, I thought it was a practical joke. Who would be foolish enough to steal from a noble? Regardless, well, we'll see where the night takes us.
I like to look at this more of like a challenge. Why not steal from the noble? Do they really deserve it?
Well, death is, one good reason.
Then better than not get caught then.
Well, that seems to be every thief's plan.
The cart continues to rock back and forth very gently until eventually, as the journey continues, the forest around you begins to slowly fade away, the tree line becoming more and more sparse as the manor of Slevin Costerna slowly graces your vision. A small row of carriages sit at the front entrance, as even from this distance you can see many people in very elegant, very beautiful formal wear entering the building group by group, pair by pair, person by person. The cart pulls through the main gates, two guards kind of posted on either side with torches, soaked in the rain, but still standing there pretty motionless. And you all pull up to the front entrance. It is a long... There's a long red carpet with a kind of like manually placed, almost like car top or like an awning of sorts that was like rapidly built as the rain kind of started to settle in, with several servants all kind of like lining, just like giving small bows or small welcoming gestures or saying hello as people enter into the kind of like very warm light of the front entrance. And you're all no different. Your carriage pulls up, you all step out, and you are all greeted one by one by servants lining the path. And walking in, you're instantly greeted by this feeling of warmth. The sound of menial conversation flooding your ears to the point where it all turns to gibberish and nonsense. as well as a soft, sourceless orchestra music that slowly fades in as you enter. The entrance hall itself is simple in comparison to what some of you may have seen when it comes to knocking over houses like this, or during events like this at least. Fine hardwood floors, some candelabras mounted to the wall giving off warm, yellow light, as a variety of tapestries and shelves full of small, showy knickknacks line every inch possible. There are 2 doors, one on either side of the hall, and directly in front of you, there is a set of stairs leading to the 2nd floor, as you see a short hallway next to that leads into a much larger room, which is most likely the ballroom. There are a variety of people here tonight, all wearing similar shades of reds, yellows, blacks, golds, purples. There's halflings, tieflings, gnomes, humans, all mingling together as they converse and laugh and do their best to put on painted smiles. Directly next to the front door, as you all enter, there's a small table with an older gnomish lady and a younger human man sitting. The older woman gently jotting down notes of arrivals and departures before looking up at all of you and smiling very warmly, if a bit forced, and saying, "Good evening. We're all so happy you could join us for tonight's festivities. You've sadly already missed dinner, but the dance should be happening within the next hour. Would you mind giving me the name that was on your invitation?"
Prince Thespin Arianaut.
She kind of like looks down at her notes and goes, "Prince Thespin Arianaut. Oh, here you are. It's a pleasure to have you here, Your Highness."
The pleasure's all mine.
She just like makes a very quick just check, and then sadly you will have to be pat down just like the rest of the guests, or at least if you have anything on you that could be perceived as a weapon or anything as such, we will have to hold on to it until you leave for the evening, if that would be all right.
I can assure you my rapier is only ceremonial.
And for your companions?
I cannot speak for them.
Wonderful then.
I can speak for myself.
Of course, my apologies. I did not mean to assume anything.
My name's Winnie Leafdrop, you beautiful little thing.
Oh, well, and she has like a little blush on her cheeks now. Well, thank you very much. Winnie Leafdrop. Oh, here, yes. She like checks off something else. You will also have to be checked as well. If you have any weapons that you would like to just keep with us for safekeeping, then please present it to my partner. And the younger human man just kind of like stands up and gives you like a little bit of an awkward, a little bit of a tense but deep bow, trying to be as respectful as possible, but clearly not very good in social interactions or social events like this. And he like produces a small case that has like some foam lining in it. Just like puts it on the table for anyone who wants to like put any weapons in it.
That is a-okay, young man. If you're, feel free to pat me down, but be sure to be thorough.
Heavy blush on his cheeks. If you are you hiding any weapons on you?
Me?
Yes, you.
I have 2 daggers hidden within my bodice.
Okay. Do me a favor. Roll me a sleight of hand check at advantage.
Sleight of hand check.
Yes.
I have to figure out how to do this on D&D Beyond. I am so sorry.
You're fine. You can just click modifiers, or you can just roll physical dice. Up to you.
How do I... Oh. 16.
All right. Natural 1. Oh, great. That's really good for me. He like goes to like just like search you, like pat you down. Kind of like takes you out of like the walkway a little bit. He doesn't even like touch you. He like hovers his hands over you, and like they're still like shaking a little bit, but he doesn't find anything. You can sneak your daggers in just fine. You're let through. Thespin is let through.
What a modest young man. I like him that way.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Next.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said that they took her into the.
They just like kind of like moved her a little to the
sight?
side, like not out of sight, but just like a little bit out of the walkway. So like if anyone was leaving or coming in, they could just like walk past.
Okay. Sorry, Manic. Go ahead.
While She's being pat down. Is there any way I can turn away and cast minor illusion on my immovable rod? Make it look like a fan at my hip?
Sure, yeah.
Cool.
Real quick, I think there's somatic or verbal components, but you just perform it really quickly, and there's just now a very beautiful kind of fan just kind of like hanging from your side.
Hella.
The gnomish lady just kind of like looks up to the other two. Next, please.
Sure. I will actually pull a piece of paper out of my pocket that I had cast illusory script on the way here.
Okay.
And it is, when he looks at it, it is in perfect handwriting of the whose party is this?
This would be Thespin's party, Prince Thespin's party.
Yeah, Prince Thespin.
Yes.
So this is in his exact handwriting, him writing a letter on there saying that I'm allowed to bring my stuff in.
The gnomish lady kind of like, oh, sorry.
Yep, and it is in it is actually in gnomish. If she's gnome.
She is indeed a gnome. She kind of like reads it over and just kind of like does a quick double check. Well, my employer did say that he preferred no weapons at all aside from ceremonial.
Yeah, that's why he gave me this explicitly, just that way you've made an exception.
Of course, my apologies. Also, I think I misunderstood. You're in Thespin's party, as in you are the group with him, but this is the house and the event of a person named Slevin Casterna.
Okay, Slevin Casterna. Yeah,
Yes.
so it's in his writing and
gotcha,
everything.
Okay. I picked that up a little bit. Sorry about that. She just nods and she quickly like folds it and she just like tucks it into a small drawer on the other side of the desk and goes, "You can pass. My apologies."
Okay, thank you.
And for you, sir, and kind of like looks back to Miko.
My name is Miko Filgora. He's gonna give her his most charming smile.
Again, a little bit of a blush going on, but she just very quickly goes through the list and checks. Well, thank you for coming once again, and if you would please just step to the side so my partner could check you.
Pleasure's all mine. And then he lays his arms out, full spread.
Are you trying to sneak anything else in besides the immovable rod?
The only other thing he has is his arcane focus, which is like a crystal necklace.
Okay. He would pat you down, and no, that's a 3.
Apparently, I could have just walked through them in plain sight. This guy can't roll.
I am getting rid of this dice. He pats you down a little bit more confident than with Winnie. Actually making contact with your body.
Just gonna wink at him.
Knee recedes a little bit. His pats become a little bit lighter. He barely even like notices the fan at your hip, and he just like motions for you to kind of like walk past into the party.
Does a little finger waggle before he walks past him.
You see his like entire like posture become a little bit more straight, a little bit like shoulders kind of like don't roll back, they snap back a little bit, and he just like looks forward, just like not making eye contact with you or with Winnie at all.
Good.
There are a variety of places you can go from the entranceway. Like I said before, there is a set of stairs that lead up. There are 2 rooms. Both doors are cracked open. You can see one leading to the dining hall. One leads to kind of like a sitting room area, and then the long hallway, kind of like adjacent, or not adjacent. It is parallel to the stairs. It seems to go to some kind of ballroom.
By the way, worth noting in case it comes up later, the illusory script lasts for 10 days.
Good
but
enough.
also, if anyone else looks at it, it is intangible, and they see it as if it's written in an unknown or magical script that is just unintelligible. They literally just are unable to actually read it unless they have true sight.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
So, What is the group's plan from here? You can pickpocket, you can converse, you can just search for the vault straight out.
Were we given a blueprint of where the vault is?
Blueprints for this person's house aren't very readily available. The best you had were first-hand accounts of different rooms, the layout of the actual manor itself, from which a very rudimentary kind of blueprint was drawn. But nowhere on it was there like explicitly like a this is where the vault is, this is where like this is. It was only areas that were very publicly accessible during events like this, or like if he was having guests over for some reason.
Is there anybody that we know that is close to the party? Person?
Go ahead and
Anybody in the room?
make me a perception check.
Fucking 1.
Oh,
You
I think that's a 1, or is that a 7? No, wait, it's a 7.
Seven.
It's a
It's
seven.
a 7. Hold on, I had to go.
You
7
got
plus
a
2 is 9. It's 9.
Nine?
It's 9. Okay, hold on. I had to look at my. I'm so glad it pops up on the right because I can't read that dice. I am so sorry.
You can
No, it's
change the
fine.
dice.
It's fine.
How do you
As-
just?
Oh, as you guys are walking in, you try to like get a good look around the room, and with a 9, go ahead and roll me a d6 real quick.
6.
Yes.
5. Oh,
5.
it shows everyone. Oh, that's so cool.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
then
D&D Beyond 5. Thank
real quick-
God. 'Cause I can't do math.
5. Go ahead and roll me a d20.
7.
7.
11.
11.
Oh, 11. I heard 7. Sorry.
Eh.
As you
That's
guys are all
mushy.
kind of walking in, you don't see anyone that you like kind of know as close to Slevin. However, you do see this half-orc gentleman with a very commanding presence, standing about 5'9" with these very broad shoulders and biceps that show through his long sleeve shirt. He's wearing no suit jacket, but a red and gold vest that is kind of half buttoned, half unbuttoned, and he's wearing this very plain golden mask, which has like one red feather that maybe about 5 to 6 inches in length that curls kind of back and behind his ear. He definitely catches your eye. He's kind of like currently conversing with a small group. You can hear he's got a very kind of like gravelly, kind of like baritone voice. And when he laughs, the entire room almost kind of shakes. But that is someone that definitely catches your eye.
Okay. I want to approach that person.
As you do, you hear a lot of what can only be described as harumps coming from the conversation. But he very quickly kind of like makes eye contact with you. And kind of like opens his spot in the circle and goes, "Hello, and who might you be?"
Somebody who just wants to get to know you.
Well, isn't that polite? It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Rain, Adam Rain. And you are?
The name is Winnie Leafdrop, and she extends her hand like in a very dainty motion forward.
He, like- He takes it very clearly, trying to be like as gentle as possible, and he just leans down and kisses your knuckles.
The pleasure is all mine, but what brings you to this fine party, Rain?
Well, in all honesty, I don't exactly know. I was invited by the host of tonight's, and he said that he had some kind of a proposition for me to mull over. And what brings someone like you here tonight, these festivities?
Oh, since my husband died. Been locked away for so long, and I figured I'd put myself back out there again, and what can I say? You just caught my attention from across the room.
Well, my deepest condolences. I'm terribly sorry to hear about his passing.
It was a couple of years ago, and I figured I'd put myself back out there again, and figured that now's the time to do it.
Resilient. Strong. I like that.
But that's so interesting that the host of this party, I can't pronounce his name, by the way. And
Slevin.
Slevin. Okay, thank you.
Just mash together Slevin and 11.
Slevin. Okay, thank you. But Lord Slevin invited me to this party, and what can I say? I couldn't pass it by, and I've never been inside this establishment. Have you?
Not me personally. I've had some associates who've been here for business, but not I.
Well, do you think that you could show me around?
Well, most certainly, it'd be my pleasure. He kind of like takes you by the arm and starts slowly like leading you from room to room.
Take his arm and show me around.
Did we hear any of this?
I would say bits and pieces.
Okay.
There is currently a lot of conversation going on in this room, and is currently a lot of noise, and it's not that you pick up on all the conversation, just a little bit here and there.
I would like to follow a short time.
All right.
Just for a moment.
In the meantime, what are Miko and Thespin doing at the moment?
I want to make my way through the ballroom and kind of do a reconnaissance, see if I could see the main guy himself or anyone else of importance.
Stepping into the large, lavish ballroom, you are instantly greeted with this wall of noisy chatter and meshing conversation, as the majority of guests for this evening find themselves either meandering while they talk or tucked into their little groups as they sip their drink and conversate about this, that, or the other. A large chandelier hangs about 30 or so feet above the dance floor, hanging at the same height as a large balcony from the second floor, where you can barely make out more figures mingling above. The chandelier itself throwing out warm orange-yellow light around the entirety of the room, leaving no space for darkness or shadows. The only source of light that outdoes that are the quick, bright flashes of lightning from the storm outside, being let in by the large window of the very south of the room, that goes from about 5 to 10 feet off the floor to the curve of the ceiling on the second floor in the corner. In the corner, there is a small orchestra of maybe about 10 or so people, all softly playing background music that seems to have never stopped since you walked in. And as you walk in, go ahead and roll me a d6.
Ooh. Three.
All right, go ahead and roll me a d20.
8. Yeah.
Walking around, you see two people, a couple. One, a woman of a race that you can't quite completely tell what it is. Her hair is long and slightly mangled, yet there is some clear attempt to make it look nice and presentable. She's wearing a long red dress that matches with that of her partner that she is walking around with. And her mask is covering the entirety of her face and looks as though someone took a regular paper mask and tossed it into a fireplace, pulling it out just before it fully burned away. What little bit of skin you can see shows some darker complexion, though oddly enough it appears that it has become ashen and pale over time. Her partner, a tiefling man with smaller horns that jut out maybe about 3 to 4 inches from his forehead and have just a slight curl, wearing a black and blood-red suit that has clearly been torn and stitched over and over. Granted, the stitch job is almost immaculate, but still barely noticeable for the more perceptive among you. Wearing black gloves that are slowly graying that cover up his slightly shaking hands as he walks alongside his partner arm in arm, yet carrying more of an air of a bodyguard rather than a partner in any way. His face, like that of his partner's, is equally covered by the same burning themed mask, yet at his neck and wrists you do notice some very bad burn scars, ruining his slightly red, slightly pale colored skin. Go ahead and, if you would be so kind, roll me a perception check, please.
What? 6. I'm not using whispers. God damn it.
All right, those are the two people that really kind of catch your eye. What would you like to do while you enter the ballroom?
I kind of want to keep my eye on them. Maybe stay, like, if they leave the room, like, follow at a distance, kind of see if I could hear any conversation from them. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, well, actually, as you enter the ballroom, they're actually heading towards you, leaving. And as they are kind of like just about to intersect with you, a member of staff, someone wearing plainer clothes, balding head, kind of stops them and takes them aside and just has a very short conversation with them as they kind of like nod along, and eventually he kind of like leaves them, stepping past you and walking up the stairs to the second floor.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Kind of want to follow that guy up the stairs.
All right, as you do that, Thespin, what would you be doing?
I do say that carriage ride is dreadfully cold. I believe I shall enter the sitting room and perhaps find a fireplace to warm up at.
Going through the western door, you see a large, comfortable sitting room with 4 large love seats, all circled around a low, large coffee table that was covered with discarded napkins and empty glasses that the staff simply haven't had the time to clean up just yet. The walls are relatively barren, save for a few old Casterna family portraits, large floor-to-ceiling windows that look out into the front yard where you can see carriages constantly coming and going, a couple of plain, imageless tapestries to add a splash of color to the otherwise dull wooden walls. This room appears to be the most empty out of most of the other spaces in the building, or at least the ones that you've seen so far, with only a couple of people standing out in the windows looking out into the front courtyard, and a person or two simply minding their own business at the coffee table in the center, neither really making eye contact or any type of attempt to start a conversation with the other. The only other real thing of note here that you can see upon walking in is an open door that leads into a small hallway leading into what appears to be some kind of grandiose library.
Would I know where our carriage is being held?
Yeah, you see a small sort of like large pitched tents, kind of like covering the kind of like valet parked carriages, maybe about 100, 200 feet away from the front doors, all missing their horses, of course, as they've been taken to a nearby barn.
I will don my masquerade mask, a piece that covers just the eyes and bearing the resemblance of the faceplate of a knight, and I will warm up by the fire as I wait for a staff to come in and possibly collect these discarded drinks.
Yeah, a bunch of staff members quickly make their way to clean up the coffee table, all kind of like acknowledging everyone's presences in the room and making sure that they're taken care of.
Is it at all possible, sir, that I may speak to you for a moment?
One of the members of staff, a younger human man, wearing clothes that were clearly tailored to be a little bit nicer, but have clearly just kind of like come apart throughout the night, and just hasn't had time to like look in a mirror and fix himself. Quickly makes his way over and goes, "Yes, sir. Is there anything I can help you with?"
I am a man who is very particular about his diet. You see, I have many dietary restrictions. I was hoping you could lead me to the kitchen so I may make sure that I do not fall ill from the catering this night.
Roll me a persuasion check.
22.
22, Jesus. He thinks for a moment before quickly just straightening his back and going, "Of course, sir. Please, if you wouldn't mind following me." And he kind of like motions for you to follow him as he leads you back through the entranceway, and then back through the dining room, which similarly is in a odd state of disarray as he leads you into the kitchen. Stepping in, you see a large kitchen that is bustling with energy and movement. A large fireplace in the corner of the room holds 2 cauldrons, but could easily hold a third. A 5 to 6 foot by 5 to 6 foot kitchen island on one end holds platters that are filled with food and glasses that are to be served out to the guests, and stacks of dairy dishes and glasses ready for pot wash on the other end. A large 3-wall sink sits on the far wall, and against the very south wall, you see a very unflashy doorway, and since it's cracked open, you can see it leads into staff quarters. Against the eastern wall, you can also see a small doorway that is cracked open to reveal a small staircase that leads down to a floor below this one. Most likely to some kind of storeroom where food is kept until it's needed.
Young man, may you direct me to where the food is being stored, as to I make sure it is properly separated. I would hate for one of my various allergies to afflict me.
He nods and goes, "Of course, sir. Follow me." And he leads you down the stairs into what is a large storeroom filled with crates and barrels filled with different kinds of meats and produce. There are some like fruits, dried fruits hanging from different shelves. There's a small wine rack against the far wall. It is all a bunch of basically everything you're going to need for a kitchen, with a staff this size, for guests, however many you're going to need, basically for like the next 5 months, maybe 6 if you're stretching it. And as he kind of leads you down, he goes, "Sir, please do your best to not touch any produce. It would be horrifyingly unsanitary of us to implore such cross-contaminants into our food." Investing.
Do not worry. I'm quite careful, for I do have a milk, egg, peanut, tree nut, soy, wheat, fish, shellfish, sesame allergy, and I'm also a vegetarian at heart.
You watch as his mouth goes from this very, like, polite smile and just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping with every new ingredient that you list. And he goes, "Of course, I will be sure to tell the chef as soon as I can."
Thank you. You can see as to why I'm so careful.
Yes, sir, of course.
May I inspect the walls of the room I'm in and see if there's possibly a break in any way that might lead to a secret door?
Yeah, you wait until he leaves, and then a couple seconds of silence later, and you just hear, "That's not even fucking possible! What do you mean?" And that gives you indication that you're good to go, and I need you to do me a favor, just roll me an investigation check, please.
That would be a 20.
My Audacity fucked up. It has been recording for the past 20 minutes, but that's alright, we'll keep trucking on. You inspect the walls with a 20, you said, right?
Yes.
And you kind of like run your hands across a few stones, and eventually you do feel a slight crack. And interest is kind of peaked, so you kind of like start following it, and it is indeed a shape of a kind of like 5 to 6 foot wide door.
I will make a mental note of that. Can I find a way to open that door?
With a 20 on investigation, you quickly start looking, and you start like patting some of the bricks, and you feel one brick just kind of like give a little bit, and you hear this very, very light just click, and the entire wall just kind of comes loose a little bit. Doesn't like make any loud creaking noises, doesn't like scrape or anything. It just feels like it was kicked up and is now on some kind of bearings to be like turned.
Instead of opening the door, I will mentally memorize the position of that brick. I will keep the situation as it is, and I will exit the storeroom.
All right. You exit out to a kind of halfling chef whose clothes have been like stained with different kinds of like greens and like blues and reds from all the food he's been cooking and everything that's been spilled on him, and he is just red in the face. He is not happy, and like the second you like walk out, he like snaps to you, like he's gonna start yelling at you, and then he realizes that you're a guest, and he's like, I hope everything's to your liking, sir.
May I help you, sir?
Nope, my apologies, sir.
No, my apologies. I do not mean to interrupt. I can see that you are very busy. Please, have a successful night. I will bow and see myself out, perhaps to the ballroom to socialize for a bit.
You would come out into the entranceway as the staff member and the staff member that Miko is following, is like quickly like making his way up the stairs. And you see Miko kind of just like walking past you, and you both kind of like nod to each other, as you go your separate ways. Back to Winnie real quick. The half-orc fellow who has given you his name is Adam Rain. Once again, has you kind of arm in arm, and he starts taking you through a variety of different spaces. He takes you through the sitting room, takes you through the ballroom, takes you into the library. And walking, you met with this grand, kind of beautiful library with hundreds of shelves filled with thousands of books that one man could not possibly read within a lifetime unless he was either really lonely or really full of shit and lied about it. The entire library spans about 2 floors of the house, though most of the shelves go only about 1 story, with a spiral staircase in the corner against the same door as the sitting room. Against the western wall, you see these large 2-story windows that look out onto the western lawn, which is currently being destroyed by the torrential downpour that is happening outside, though you are still warm and safe here inside. There are a variety of people walking around, looking at Slevin's impressive collections, mingling with one another as little globules of light shaped like lanterns float around the midpoint between the first and second stories, giving off nice, warm, roaming light that fills the room quite nicely. On the south wall, you see the doors that lead into the ballroom, and another singular door, which Adam would explain to you is actually the entrance to the greenhouse. He's just kind of like, he's been making very menial, very boring chatter, mostly about himself and like stories that he's encountered, and it's just terribly self-absorbed, egotistical, and just mind-bogglingly just boring. Granted, he just tried to say it in a way that's very interesting, and he's giving you a bit of attention, but he's still talking about himself most of the time. Kind of like leading you through the library and goes, and that's how I won my 3rd war. Single-handedly.
Oh my goodness, Sir Rain, you are just so funny. I could see why Lord Sylvan would want to speak with you. You're just an absolute delight to be around, and you have just endless need for stories. And
Well, you're not
I really
exactly
do
too bad
appreciate
either.
your company.
Of course,
I really do appreciate your company.
And
And look at the scenery.
beautiful, ain't it?
It is quite gorgeous, and all the books. I can't believe you would read something like this in a lifetime.
I'm not too much for reading myself, but it's quite the collection.
Is there any way that I could like look around the room to see if there's any hidden doors?
Make me a perception check.
Perception.
19. All right. So with a 19, without being able to like physically go and like test things or like feel things, it's a little bit difficult to see what exactly is a secret door and what is just kind of like subpar kind of like woodwork. However, with a 19, you do see some bookshelves that you could theoretically kind of guess are some kind of hidden passageways or like some kind of like secret rooms. But you don't have the ability to go and check at the moment because he has your arm, and he doesn't seem keen on letting it go just quite yet.
Okay. When do you have to meet Sir Sylvan? I I wrote his name as Lord 7-Eleven. This is a reference, so I keep almost saying 7-Eleven.
Just call him 7-Eleven.
I
It's fine.
apologize.
No, it's fine.
I call him
Call
Lord
him
7-Eleven.
whatever you want.
So, when do you have to meet Lord 7-Eleven?
Well, the letter did mention that a staff member would be, and as he kind of says that, staff member kind of like pats his shoulder and kind of like, sir, may I have a word with you for a moment? Of course. Excuse me, Winnie. Just 1 second, please.
Oh, you're good. I'll be here waiting.
He kind of like lets go of your arm, and the staff member kind of like motions him to come off to a quieter area of the library, and you are free to look around for a second.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I stealth and get closer and listen to them?
Oh, of course, yeah. No, you've been following the entire time. Go ahead and make me a stealth check.
I'm not very stealthy. That's a natural one.
Oh no, the rogue's not stealthy, guys.
I don't suppose I have an advantage for anything because he's distracted, do I?
Sadly not. Not in this case, at least. This is less of you, like, crouching and, like, skyrimming your way over there to be unseen, and more of, like, you hiding in plain sight and making it seem like you're not eavesdropping. But you rolled a 6. So,
no, it's
like,
a natural 1.
Oh, that's a nat 1?
Yeah, it's a nat 1.
You go, like, put your hands in your pockets, and you're just kind of, like, walking around, like, trying to drop some eaves, and you feel something kind of, like, collide with your leg. I need you to make me a dex check real quick. Actually, dex saving throw.
Dex or dex save?
Saving throw, please. Yes. No way!
I'm using a different... I'm going and getting actual dice, because this is bullshit. That's 2 nat 1s in a row.
Oh,
so,
no.
as you, as you're kind of like preoccupied with making yourself seem very inconspicuous, you actually trip over a man's tail. It is a taller tiefling man with kind of this pale blue, cerulean blue kind of colored skin, with 2 longer horns that jut up and kind of roll back a little bit to kind of like barely touch the back of the skull. He is wearing the nicest tailcoat and blazer you've ever seen. It matches perfectly with his vest. He is wearing no mask that you can see. And at his hip you see this ceremonial kind of rapier that is just encrusted with a lot of gems, and it's very beautiful, kind of like silver, almost kind of glistening silver. You can't tell if it's some other material other than that. And as you start to trip over his tail, he reaches, like whips around, reaches back, and like catches you as you begin to fall. And he like looks at you for a second, and goes, you know, in my culture, that's a marriage proposal.
Sure, it is. And I'll just stand right on my I'll just stay on one knee as I fell down.
Just
I don't know
laugh.
you yet, but you seem wonderful.
You got married before you even know my name. Now that's a new feat even for me.
Sometimes you just know.
I guess you could say sometimes you just fall for someone.
Yeah.
Name's Creed. He kind of like extends a hand to help you up.
I'm Sterling.
Pleasure to meet you. Do me a favor. I have it written down somewhere. I just can't find it. What is your passive perception?
23.
Jesus fucking Christ. You, as he's kind of like helping you up, you see inside of his sleeve a small contraption with a kind of like blade attached to it. And in the other, you see a very similar kind of contraption as well. So in both sleeves, he has one. Kind of helps you to your feet and kind of like brushes off your kind of like your coat a little bit and goes, and you are, since we're getting married and all?
As I said, my name is Saralyn.
No, of course I forgot. I got a lot on my mind recently. My apologies.
Yeah, also just present. My passive investigation is the same. It's 23 as well.
Gotcha. Okay. I will write that down.
I assume you don't have metal arms there, and that the metal that I see is for your protection.
Kind of like looks at his sleeves and kind of like rolls one of them up a little bit higher. Well, you know, you can never be too safe around wimpy noble likes. You never know when someone's gonna flash a blade at you.
Fair, and I pat the one on my hip right now.
So, I don't think you're gonna mind me asking this, but you're not exactly here just for good tidings and a place to get out of the rain, are you?
I'm here for a good time. You never know what's gonna happen.
I guess
So,
that's good enough.
Here to leave better than I came. So.
Don't gotta tell me twice. Kind of like he doesn't like fully open like his coat or anything. Doesn't like take it off, but he like fans it a little bit, like he's airing himself out, and you just see like glints of like different rings and like watches and like bracelets and things that he's probably picked up from other people.
Makes sense. Good haul you've got so far.
I'm just getting started.
What do you say we reconvene later and we'll see who's got the better one?
All right, let's meet after the dance. See what you could probably pick up in all that chaos.
All right. And I'm actually gonna start headed back out to the floor.
Okay.
Since I've embarrassed myself in the library enough.
All right. Through all that, you caught none of the conversation that Adam Rain was having with the staff member. Winnie, would you like to do anything while you kind of have a moment?
Is there any way that I can check that bookcase?
Sure. You kind of like just very politely walk up to it. Go ahead and make me a quick investigation check.
22.
22! You kind of like palm over some of the books, and they're all very weighty, very heavy, very tangible and real. And then you feel one that's just a little bit too light for how many pages it has. And you kind of like pull it back a little bit, and you look at the kind of like backside that was facing away from you, and you see this metal contraption kind of like built into the bookshelf. And you just kind of like take note of that, and you put it back so that doesn't activate.
Okay.
And the book itself is of old deities, specifically older gods. I'm forgetting the name of the god specifically, but if that helps you.
And is that just enough time for him to come back?
Yeah, no, by the time you're done, like, investigating that one bookshelf, he's still in the middle of a conversation, but he's, like, clapping the staff member on the back very aggressively, like, the conversation, like, he's giving a very Midwestern goodbye.
Okay.
So you might have a little bit more time.
Okay. Is there anything in the room that I can get and steal?
There are a variety of knickknacks on shelves, very expensive-looking goods on, in small display cases that you could probably pocket. There are a variety of people here that you could probably just, like, bump into and, like, steal something off of them. It is all up to you. What would you like to try?
How many people are in the room? Like, how difficult would it be for me to steal
including
something out of the case?
Including the staff member, you, Adam, and Creed. There are only, like, 2 other people, so, like, 6 people in total. And they're all pretty wrapped up in their own conversation, so it would be a sleight of hand check. Possible, but, you know, you gotta be careful.
Can I try stealing something that's like I could fit in my pocket or something? Like,
Of course. You take a look around the room, just really quickly. And in one of the glass display cases, there's actually a small collection of jewelry. There is this very, very beautiful kind of like double-tiered necklace with like fine rubies encrusted into diamonds. There's a couple of rings on like a fake hand that's currently clutching a small collection of like bracelets. It just looks prime for stealing. And the display case, you could basically just like lift it up and like grab something. Go ahead and make me a sleight of hand check.
7.
You go to lift the case up, and the hand that was holding like all of like the loose bracelets and all of the rings falls over, and you have just enough time to like grab just something like a ring off of the one of the fingers before the tiefling man kind of like looks over in your direction, and you like put the case back down. You kind of like pretend like you don't know what just happened.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm so clumsy. I just wanted to take a look at that. My apologies.
Tiefling man just gives you a little bit of a shrug and just goes back to whatever he was doing before.
Okay, so I pocketed a ring?
Yes, it is a ring that was on the thumb of the fake hand, and it has one large kind of like oval shaped sapphire on it. At this time, Adam finishes up his conversation, and he like starts walking to where you last were with his hands in his pockets, like just kind of like looking back and forth in case he's lost you.
There.
Hello.
How'd your little talk go?
Wonderful. Apparently, a host wants to see me after the dance.
After the dance?
Precisely.
The dance.
Yes.
Shall we head to the dance floor?
Sure. I don't know what's gonna happen, but more than happy to just spend more time with you.
Same to you.
Kind of like takes your arm once again, leads you into the ballroom. Miko. You are currently following the staff member up the staircase and onto the second floor. There are some balconies that kind of like overlook the entranceway, and then there you see one staircase that leads up to a third floor. A variety of double doors alongside a long hallway that leads to the balconies overlooking the ballroom itself.
I want to go up to the
Third floor, alright. Third floor. It's very plain, not a whole lot of people up here, except from like some staff members that are just kind of like mindlessly doing tasks, getting different rooms ready. You can probably guess that this is either where bedrooms are and like guest rooms are, or like some kind of like office or personal studies or something like that. There is one kind of like long hallway with, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5-ish doors, and one like large set of double doors at the very, very end of the hallway.
Can I try the door with the double doors?
You try it and it's locked.
Is there a lot of people like around this? Like, can people see me at the door right now?
No, you have completely walked out of sight of anyone from the front entrance, like looking up. And the only other people that are on this floor seem to be staff members who are currently in rooms making beds.
I don't think I have anything to pick the lock. Okay, I'm gonna make a note. I'll go back down to the second floor.
All right. As you go back down to the second floor, do me a favor, roll me a d6. Two. Roll me another d6.
3.
Wow. As you kind of make your way down back to the second floor, you see kind of like overlooking the balcony, a tall, pale woman with a slender frame, with this very ageless, graceful green eyes and this beautiful dark red sonnet-worthy curls. Wearing an elegant red dress that she has to kind of like hold or else it would trail behind her a few inches. Everything about this woman is perfect, aside from the scowl on her face and the look of wishing death in her eyes. Holding her mask in one hand and the stem of a almost overspilling wine glass in the other that she is currently almost white-knuckling to the point of shattering the glass. And you just see her just scowling down at everyone in the main entrance, just kind of like mumbling to herself.
I'm gonna slide myself right next to her.
You just hear mumbling, "That son of a bitch, I swear to God. I never
You look troubled.
Don't you know it's impolite to sneak up on people?"
I wasn't trying to. My apologies, though. What has someone of your stature looking so unhappy at a party such as this?
Kind of like looks behind her, make sure that no one like is too close within like hearing distance. Like, it's my no good, damn cheating husband. Whole reason I'm here in the first place. Yeah, no, Leviana, come on, it'll be fun. Have a night out with me, it's been so long. And then I lose him for 5 seconds, and all of a sudden he's nomming on some other woman's neck.
That snake definitely doesn't deserve you.
He really doesn't.
Why do you stay?
He's my ride home.
Understandable. Well, why do you keep them?
He's my husband. I'm supposed
Does
to
he have
love
to
him.
be your husband?
What exactly are you insinuating, sir?
I'm just saying, is it worth keeping around if he's not going to be loyal?
You're probably right, but I can't exactly get rid of him. At least not without me hanging on the hangman's noose.
Is he threatening you?
Nah, but you know, he... It's a long story, I don't want to bore you.
I have all night. Bore away.
She regales you with this tale of a very poor peasant woman, and a very rich noble, and an arranged marriage, and it being lovely, actually, within the first couple of years. And then he slowly started getting bad. And it became this, like, one-time thing, and he was so sorry to... It's almost an inevitability anytime they go anywhere. And as she's, like, telling you this story over the course of, like, maybe, like, 5-ish, 6-ish minutes, you just see, like, the grip on her wine glass is getting tighter and tighter, and eventually, near the end, she, like, snaps the glass and it, like, tumbles over the edge of the banister and, like, hits one of the staff members in the head and just goes, "Ow, the fuck?" Sorry. I'll pay for that. Sorry.
I see it brings you much grief. I'm sorry for laughing.
No, it's fine. That's actually kind of hilarious to me.
You've got quite a grip.
If only it's around his neck. Sorry. I shouldn't say that. That's rude and improper.
Well, I mean, you're amongst friends here.
You move quite quick. From strangers to friends so quickly.
What can I say? I like to make friends wherever I go.
Tell you what. Don't be real friendly.
Always.
I want you to do something for me.
And what's that?
I want you to embarrass my husband. And that hussy he's with.
How embarrassing are we talking?
About as embarrassing as you can get short of public assassination. Character assassination. Sorry, that's a slip of my tongue.
I mean, tomato, I won't be saying anything. What's to say he doesn't wake up tomorrow?
What's to
So that
say he
might
doesn't
be-
wake up tomorrow?
Might be talking out of turn, though.
Everything's confidential among friends, eh?
As very true.
You embarrassed my husband. And she kind of like looks down at her hand, and you see this one very, very beautiful kind of like diamond ring. She kind of like pulls it off her finger, and this is yours.
That? But just embarrassing it? Honey.
I'm not talking
take it.
about light embarrassment. I'm talking about embarrass him, sweetheart.
I'll see what I can do.
She just like puts the ring in her palm and kind of like curls up her hand, and she just like when she once had this like deep scowl of like anger and hatred, she has this like very content smile, and she like looks down over the banister, and she points towards the front door. She goes, him, and you see a couple. It is an elven man with kind of like shorter, silverish hair, standing about like 6'2", 6'3", wearing a kind of like black tailcoat with some like red accents on the back, with a kind of like with a little bit of a limp and a cane that he walks with, currently holding arm in arm with a much younger woman than you found out her name was Leviana, with a much younger woman than Leviana is. Her details aren't too important. That's my husband. Whatever you can think of, just make a show of it.
That's your husband? Honey, you can do so much better.
Well, I know that now. 20-year-old me wasn't exactly, the brightest when it came to loving partners.
It's okay, we all make mistakes.
This one's haunting me for the rest of my goddamn life.
Well, hopefully not too much longer.
The more we talk, the more it sounds like you actually just want to kill him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
How did I know you're gonna... Alright. Have at you.
Give me less than an hour. I'll see what I can do.
Wonderful. I'll most likely be here.
Well, I hope you'll be watching.
I'll do my best.
I'm gonna bow. I'm gonna take my leave.
She gives a very kind of like facetious kind of like curtsy. And she just like leans over the railing. Back to Thespin. Thespin. Where were you headed again? You were headed to the ballroom?
Yes. Did
Right.
I see any back entrances on my way there?
You would have noticed one set of doors kind of to the, I believe it'd be the, oh god, is that the east of the ballroom? That would lead kind of like back, wrap around into the staff rooms that you noticed through the kitchen. And then you would notice one set of doors to the west, kind of like towards the library, where you can see there's like this kind of like stained glassed window that probably leads to some kind of like greenhouse or green room.
I see. I will continue to the ballroom.
All right. Are you looking for anything specific? Doing anything specific?
As I make my way through the mansion, can I gain a general understanding for the amount of security here?
Yeah, definitely. Just by walking through, you notice that there are quite a few guards. Say, in the area where there's the most people, for every 5 guests, there's 1 guard. No, wait, that's bad. For every 10 guests, there's 1 guard. And they all kind of like line the walls, kind of like hands kind of like behind their back at attention. And you notice that they do have some very light weaponry, and they're wearing not too thick a plate armor, but plate armor nonetheless. It looks like tonight is not heavily guarded, but not exactly loose on security either.
I will simply enjoy the festivities and make myself known.
Alright. As you begin to walk through the ballroom with a stride in your step, go ahead and roll me a d6, please.
Two.
2. And then go ahead and roll me another d6.
3.
All right. You begin walking your way through the room, and you notice two people, kind of like walking side to side. A taller human woman with bright, short, crimson-red hair, pale skin, and these two deep, almost soulless purple eyes, wearing what looks like lighter-looking armor, with a large sword strapped at her hip that she keeps a hand rested on, seemingly at all times. And then the other one, a shorter dragonborn man with inky black skin and two black marbles where his eyes should be. Standing roughly about 5'5", 5'6", and wearing what looks like a little more of a dark-colored ceremonial uniform rather than his partner's more openly armored attire. Over one shoulder, he has a long cape that just kind of like barely dangles above the floor, and once again, in a juxtaposition to the woman he is walking with, he seems to be carrying no weapons in plain sight. You would actually know these two as kind of four higher bodyguards of the Black Guard of Asula. They tend to be hired out to nobles for events that need some kind of security or some tighter security, or just as regular bodyguards for a short period of time, or maybe like a 5-6 month span. And these two tend to be pretty good at their job, if not first choices, and they always come as a pair. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking seeing them here almost.
Do I know if it's just the two of them here?
From what you've seen so far, yes, it is just these two. You would actually know their names as Vem for the human woman and Caldwell for the dragonborn.
And these two, are they specifically assigned to guard a certain noble person?
If you're asking if they're specifically for Slevin, then you don't know. You just know that they're present at the events, so it could be for really anyone.
Understood.
As you're kind of making your way around, mingling with guests, you hear just the sound of just some light clapping from the kind of like top balconies as the host of tonight's makes himself present. 1 second. Limping his way through the crowd of the top balconies is the host, an elven man with fair skin and a set of beautiful blue eyes behind his glasses, seemingly standing around 6'4". However, for the more perceptive of you, you would probably notice that the height mainly comes from the wedges that he's stuck into his shoes, adding maybe an inch or two more onto his total height, trying to make himself the tallest in the room at all times. His tailcoat is a fine, rich, deep purple color with silver accents, making him stand out among the sea of reds and golds and black colors than the majority of the crowd. Also noticeably, he's wearing these stark white gloves that either look brand new or like no dirt has ever seen the surface of them whatsoever. He has this short, white, slicked back hair, and as he walks, there's a smile on his face as he leans on his cane just a little bit more than what should be usual to try to manage to get some support as he mingles with guests. And he kind of like claps to get people's attention, goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight at my humble abode. I'm so glad to see so many friendly and familiar faces."
Am I back to the ballroom at this point?
You would be back in the ballroom. You would notice Thespin kind of across the room from you, and Winnie would also be here. Miko would still be in the entrance hall, so that he's...
Is Rain here?
Adam Rain would be here. He's walking arm in arm with Winnie.
Okay. Damn. Never mind. He was gonna be my disguise, but not if he's also coming.
Yeah, no. It seems like people are kind of like slowly making their way towards the edge of the ballroom. And actually, with a 23 in perception, your passive perception, you would notice that same staff member that was kind of talking to Rain earlier is going around and talking to a few other people as well. Actually, the same staff member kind of like slowly makes his way to Thespin and kind of like very gently like taps on his shoulder. He goes, "Excuse me, sir. May I have a word with you?"
Who is this man?
A staff member, plainer attire, but he's trying to make himself look as nice as possible. Seems a little bit more higher up than some of the other staff members you've seen so far, but short, human man, kind of like slowly balding, graying hair. He looks tired, but he's present and he's very polite.
Of course.
Kind of like very politely like gestures for you to follow him as he kind of like takes you into, not out of the room or into like any side room, but like just a quieter area of the ballroom. As Slevin is giving this large, grandiose speech, and the staff member goes, "After the dance has finished, Lord Slevin would like to see you in his study with a small group. He says there is some business he would like to discuss with you under board."
Very well then. At what hour?
After the dance has concluded, which should be starting any moment now, just at your earliest convenience.
Has he shared the meaning of this business?
Oh, no, not to I, sir. He's quite particular about his staff knowing his intentions and his business.
Very well then. You may relay that I eagerly await our appointment.
The staff member gives you a deep bow and just like kind of puts his hands behind his back and just like makes his way, continuing around the room, hitting a couple more people before eventually like heading back to the main entrance, then back upstairs.
Did it seem like all of them that like he's told all of them the same thing? I can read lips, by the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
With the observant feat.
Forgot you had that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
From
So my passive perception so high.
That makes sense. From your spot, he's not always facing you, but you get the gist that it's mainly the same thing every time. Slevin wants to see this person, or this couple, or this person after the dance in his study.
I am gonna start making my way up to his study.
Okay.
Actually, do I know where his study is?
You would have really no idea.
Hmm.
You could root around for a bit, but
Yeah, I guess I'll wait, and then I'll end up following somebody up there when I see them all leave.
Okay. The crowd bursts into a small, polite bit of applause as Slevin gives a very nice, deep bow, and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the rest of the night's festivities. I, once again, am very happy that you all arrived." And he just turns, and as he turns and walks off onto the balcony, the band slowly starts to get a little bit louder, and a little bit louder, and a little bit louder, and the dance floor begins to clear very, very slowly. Miko, the husband and his partner begin making their way towards the ballroom, and Sarah Lynn, everyone seems to be filing in towards the direction of the ballroom, so you could theoretically root around without being seen.
Hell yeah. I want to get in at least 30 feet of them, at least. If when I do get close enough, can I hear any of their conversation?
Make me a perception check.
Oh no.
You. 6.
Not using this dice anymore.
As you kind of like start getting closer to the ballroom, the music is a little bit too loud, and conversations get a little bit louder to try to compensate for it. So it's a little bit hard to kind of like distinguish who's talking or where it's coming from, and it's just a little bit hard to pick up on one group or one couple's kind of like conversation. We'll slow down. It's not a drag race. One couple's conversation alone.
Dang. Okay. I have to embarrass this man.
You do.
There's no cooldown on my cantrips, right? I could just cast. I think I'm gonna cast Minor Illusion 3 times.
Okay.
Can I cast it on or around a person?
You create a sound. You create a sound or an image of an object within range that lasts for the duration. Illusion also ends if you dismiss it. You can create an image of an object such as a chair, muddy footprints, or small chest. It must be no larger than 5 feet. Can't create sound, light, or smell, or any other sensory effects. Physical interaction with the image reveals it to be an illusion. You know what?
It is dispelled if you cast it again as well.
Yes. So you can cast it once. You can't like cast it 3 times at the same time.
Okay.
But I will say you could theoretically minor illusion something very basic onto someone if that's what you're trying to imply.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I've been.
No, it's fine. As you're kind of like plotting and planning what to do, the music continues to pick up, and the dance floor is clear. People begin taking other people's hands, and a dance is about to commence. Is anyone going to join?
I would like to go from partner to partner throughout the different songs, and I'd like to try and pickpocket each one of them.
All right, go ahead and make me a sleight of hand check.
That's a natural 2 on the dice roller. I've now rolled a 1, and a 2.
Twin.
You do
So,
not
fun
have luck
fact,
tonight.
and some of you have heard this before about my ridiculous dice rolling skills. The day of, and a couple days before and a couple days after a new moon, which is why I asked about it in chat, I roll absolutely god awful. During a full moon, though, it is reversed, and I never roll below a 17.
Jesus.
So the karma worked weirdly.
So, you rolled that. Anyone else joining in on a dance?
I will.
I'll slide in, but I want to stay close to the couple.
All right.
I'm
Thespin.
gonna dance with Sir Rain.
All right. Dancing with Sir Rain. He's more than happy to dance with you. Thespin, are you looking for anyone in particular? Are you just looking for any partner that's open? Are you...
Are there any notable partners that are open?
Go ahead, roll me... Just roll me a d20.
$14.
14. Ooh. There actually is a partner open. One that really catches your eye is an elven woman wearing a beautiful yet simple golden crown on the top of her head. A simple band with 3 small points going upwards and 1 small point going downwards over her forehead. Her dress was silken, form-fitting, and dragged along the floor about maybe a foot or so, with shoulders that flare up maybe 3 or so inches, and gloves that were missing the index fingers and thumbs and ring fingers. Her hair is this beautiful white, yet done up in one long braid that went a little way down her back, only to come up and drape over her shoulder around the front. Her fingers were adorned with rings that, and hanging off her neck are several lovely necklaces, oddly enough wearing no mask whatsoever. She appears to have no partner at this time. However, go ahead and make me a history check. I guess that'd be history. I guess that'd be the right roll.
13.
13. You actually think you know this person. Well, you not know personally. No stories of, and they're a really notable figure. This is Queen Alia Callahan, the matriarch of the Asulian Crown. Also one of the people that one of the staff members talked to, inviting them to Slevin study.
Hello, madam. Or perhaps I should say, Your Highness. May I please accompany you in this dance?
She has very impeccable posture. Her shoulders rolled back, her kind of like neck and head held high. Definitely not the tallest person in the room, but definitely the most confident person in the room at all times. She doesn't turn her head to look at you, but she kind of like gives you a little bit of a side eye. And after a second, she just kind of like very daintily holds her hand out to you.
I would take it and allow her to lead.
She very slowly kind of like leads you out into the dance floor, a little bit more towards the middle. Winnie, Adam leads you out to the dance floor with a little bit of a pep in his step. He seems to be have a little bit of excitement. Miko, is there anyone that you're grabbing in particular? Anyone that you're looking for? Anyone that's, or are you just grabbing the first kind of open available person?
First available open person, and I'll
Alright.
probably change partners to stay close to a couple. I have a
Alright.
plan.
Does it matter, male, female, anything?
Prefer male, but doesn't matter.
Gotcha. All right. Do me a favor, just roll me a D20 real quick.
Ooh. $14.
14. You would see. Sorry, I'm looking it up. A younger man, maybe about early 20s or so, clean shaven with short brown hair, wearing a small pair of silver rounded frame glasses. He's wearing a black and gray vest and a gray undershirt with simple slacks and boots that come up just below his knee. He gave off an excited yet nervous aura, a joyous fake smile on his face as he gently sipped his glass and nodded his head along to the music or whatever conversation he was originally a part of, trying his best to socialize or at least be social in this environment with people and just try to keep up with what was being said or what was being done. His mask is probably the plainest you've seen out of all of them so far. No real embellishments or flair, just a simple lace mask that was probably a bit too big for his face. Like, they couldn't really be bothered to get him one that fit properly. But he appears to not have a partner, but he's wanting to dance, but just doesn't have anyone to dance with.
Well, I will offer my hand out for him.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much. He takes your hand. He lets you lead.
Your name is?
Felman. Felman Grain, at your service.
Nice to meet you. I'm Miko. What brings you here?
Business, mostly. Well, not my business, but my associate's business. And I was brought along to help.
So, an assistant?
Yeah, kind of, but I'm hoping to kind of prove myself in my field one day.
So you're trying to get promoted?
Sure, yeah. Sorry.
Alright.
I'm not the greatest with social interaction.
It's okay, because I am.
Cheeks go a little bit red, and the dance commences. I need everyone to make me a either acrobatics or performance check if you're trying to just keep up with the dance or if you're trying to make flair out of it.